Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and it's live.
Good evening, Fox fans. How are we doing? It's bloody hot, isn't it? I'll tell you. But hey, can you smell that? Can you smell it? I don't know. I'm not saying that it's the fear of the Tottenham fan that's coming on in a minute. Well, you are. I don't know. What is? Can you smell? Football is nearly back. Yes. In just 2 weeks' time, I think it is, we are going to be playing a certain Manchester City in the Charity or Community Shield, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's a Charity Shield. To others these days, it's the community. But we've got a small matter of this tonight, though. Yes, Tottenham versus Leicester. A bit of fun, a bit of banter, a bit of a laugh. That's all it is. Who is the bigger club? I mean, I think it was about 2016. There was a song going around saying that a certain team were coming for us. Well, it's 2021 and we're still waiting. ever since that time, we have kind of become a bit of a rival game between the two of us. But this is Leicester Till I Die TV. We're on YouTube, as you can see there, at Leicester Till I Die TV. Please go over, press my buttons, give us a sub, give us a like. I like my buttons to be pressed. Facebook is obviously Leicester Till I Die, the group, and Twitter is at Leicester TID. And like I say, please do subscribe on YouTube. And just as a quick promotional here, next Tuesday, 3:30, the transfer show. We've got a special one. It is in the afternoon, so if you can watch it live at work, in the desk drawer, whatever. But of course, it will be on the channel permanently after that. We're doing a transfer show, special edition with Fabrizio Romano. And I've got all my players lined up that I'm going to say, are they, aren't they? Will they, won't they? And hopefully he'll have the answers, because if anybody does, he will. But like we say, who is bigger? That is the question. Well, I'll tell you what, let me bring my my co-chatter in tonight, because I know out the two of us, I'm the bigger, purely because I put so much weight on. But a true Spurs fan, Ryan, hello there.
Hiya, how are you all doing?
Not so bad, not so bad. Now, you're going to try and convince us, of course, that Spurs are the bigger team.
Am I? I thought it was you trying to convince me that Leicester are the bigger team.
Well, we know Leicester are the bigger team, you know, because we were just putting weight on, waiting for you to catch us up.
But it's only taken you over 150 years to try and catch with us. And you're still behind us in terms of trophies. One FA Cup?
Yes, yeah, we have. But it was quite recently, actually, as you can see from the cap there, just in case you wondered. I just thought I'd wear this just sort of, as a reminder for you. But it isn't about this. I mean, you saw this on Twitter earlier. Why don't we go deep and say Leicester use Peds to win the league? And it's a bit uncalled for. What we like is, and what we're going to have today, hopefully, like I say, is just a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, mate. The problem is with these things. How do you judge it? I mean, are we? If we go on history, I mean, you made the point very well earlier on history. Yes, it probably is yourself. On current, you could argue it is us. Do we go on the number of trophies won? But then, how far back do we go? Is it on the ground? Is it on how many fans, the owners? It's such a difficult thing to say. This is what makes us the big six. Sorry, this is what makes us the bigger club. But what do you think? What do you think is more important, past glories or recent success, Brian?
I definitely, I've got to go past glories because I'm a Spurs fan. But no, I can't really say recent success, can I? We have had it for about 13 years, but no. If you're talking trophies wise, obviously having a history on the back of you always does help, because you're not known as a one-year wonder, one season wonder. You've got
okay. I'm letting you get these in.
Obviously, Harry Kane was known as a one-season wonder. Look at him now. But no, you've got to build on that success. You can't just have an FA Cup run like you have, or have a miracle with the league. It has to be built over years and years and decades. Agreed, we haven't had that in years, but we do have that history, especially in the cup competitions, of winning trophies. So it goes back to the day. I'm also thinking just the overall size of the club, the fans, how large your fan base is also comes into the size of the club.
But again, I mean, I was thinking about the fans, and obviously you've got the bigger stadium, so you can fit more fans in. The number of fans probably does come more because you've been in the Premier League longer than us, but also you're from London, so you are automatically going to get a hell of a lot more friends than a little team from the Midlands, really, aren't you?
That's true, but that's the way the world's mapped out. I'm afraid you can't do much about where clubs are placed.
But I'm saying that's why I'm saying you can't really say that fans make you a bigger club. Are Newcastle bigger because of the number of fans they have?
I'm not talking about stadium size. I'm talking about all around the world.
But then, would you say that's not maybe because you are, and we'll come on to the big six later, but you are perceived to be one of these big six, and we'll talk about probably what makes the big six. Can you hear? There's a lot of rattling on the line. I don't know if you can hear that at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of rattling, but I can't hear you.
I think it is your end, might be your end, mate, but not your end personally, but at your end, I should say. But you do get more television coverage than, say, a Leicester or a West Ham or a Stoke. And we'll come back to that in a second, because we're just going to say and bring fella. I'm outnumbered now. I'm going to bring Sam in. Sam, hello.
How are we doing?
How are you doing, mate?
A little bit frustrated. My internet was playing up and I wasn't quite prepared, but I will be in a very short time. Give me 2 seconds.
That's fine. We'll go back to. Well, yeah, not so bad, mate. Give us a wave when you're ready. We'll go back to Ryan, and we'll say like this. You do get bigger, TV coverage. Therefore, you will have more fans worldwide.
Part of that comes into it, but again, you've got to judge that based on, again, the size of the club. That's what I'm saying. The Spurs have traditionally been bigger than Leicester over the years. Look, if Leicester had come into it like a Man City and had all the money pumped into it, you'd have been taking that upwards trajectory, if I can pronounce it, trajectory much more quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's say hello to Sam. Welcome, Sam.
How are we?
Not so bad, mate. Not so bad. I am outnumbered now, so I feel like General Custer at the Battle of the Little Bighorn here at the moment. But thanks for joining us. Sam, give a shout out to your YouTube site, which I subscribed to today. Get on there, guys. It's a good site. Give it a shout out, mate.
No problem. Sam Spurs for Life, Paxton Road TV. You can find us on YouTube. We do preview shows, reaction shows. We have a special show called Talking Points as well, where we discuss all things Tottenham. We've got a number of other shows coming up. Transfer show, Sid Says, plus also a play rating show, Judge Jody, coming up very soon. So we're for the season and can't wait to play Leicester.
Well, I did say to Ryan, we are still waiting for you. So let us know when you're on your way, and we'll put the welcome mat out for you. I said to Ryan before, I mean, it's very difficult to judge the size of a club. And do you look at sort of recent success, or do you look at past glories? And I mean, this is very much, gentle banter and humour and what have you. But certainly if it's on past glories, and I mean, let's just have a look here. I mean, the trophies that you've got here, and I did this earlier. I'm not going to be on. I'm not going to lie. That is an amazing list of trophies you've got there, Sam.
It is. It's a lot, but if you look at it, the last one of that being 2008. So that's where, as a team, as a club, if we're going to call ourselves a big club, we need to have some silverware in recent times. Post 2020 is what I'm definitely thinking we should have. Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at that there, Ryan, and I think it was. I'd forgotten you'd won the League Cup in 2007. I think it was Chelsea you beat.
2008.
2008. Sorry, I meant 2007/8. Yeah. But yeah, you beat Chelsea. I'd forgotten about that. It still hurts me, the fact that you beat us in the League Cup final in the last minute.
No.
I think we've lost you, Ryan. Say that again, sorry.
I was in the live in 99.
No. You are definitely. I can't hear you really at all there, Ryan. Unfortunately, Sam, we'll bring Leicester's up because it's not quite as good. Let's be honest with you. And we've probably been up and down more while you've been sort of quite high up. But we're not shy of winning a few things. And I know I've tugged the Battle of Britain on the end there, being a little bit cheeky when we beat Celtic. But you can't say. I mean, you look at that, and it has been more recent, hasn't it?
Well, in the last 5 years, obviously 2016, you lifted the Premier League trophy. Not many teams can say they've done that, apart from Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United. Those are the sort of teams. If you throw yourselves in the likes of Blackburn United, obviously they won that back in '92. You could say it's not many teams outside of you two that have done it. Well, it hasn't been. So we were close, came second, obviously came third to you guys after being very, very close, but then you guys went and done what you did. It's very difficult to say that we are a more successful team than you in the modern era because you've won an FA Cup as well this year. So for Spurs to say that in recent times we are a more successful club than Leicester, obviously we can't. If you're saying that could we consider ourselves a bigger club historically, I think we can. But I always go on, in the recent times, what have we won? We've been close. We've had Champions League final back in 2019. Obviously, the recent 2021 League Cup final against Manchester City. But both of those we didn't win. Had we won them, I would definitely have an argument to say we're definitely more successful than you guys. But currently, we can't say that.
No. I mean, welcome back, Ryan. Everybody's having internet problems. I think it's the heat. We're sweating. I said the other day we're sweating like Nuno Santo in his yearly assessment in front of Daniel Levy. We'll come on to Nuno later, but like I say, we will. It's very difficult to sort of judge these things. But Ryan, we did speak about this before we went live, but you've got the three there. you were almost disappointed. It was almost like you'd have been happier not to have been in Europe this season, albeit the Conference League.
It's like Ryan's still got troubles with his internet.
Yeah, it's one of them
I don't think Ryan's. I don't think Ryan. I'll pass that one back over to you, Sam. Sorry.
For me, any sort of European campaign is a good one to have. We can't be picking and choosing that, oh, we're a Champions League team. We didn't finish in the top 4. We haven't done for a number of seasons now. So for us to be a Champions League team, you have to earn that right. We are in a European Cup competition, albeit the Europa Conference League. But if we play that and use that to embed youngsters, if we use it to play some fringe players, we should be able to go as far as possible in that. I always hate to use the phrase we should win it, but if you actually think about it, the teams that are going to be competing in that UECL, we should be winning that hands down, as we should have won the Europa League this season, but we didn't.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's just the fact that it's called the Conference League, and I suppose it sounds worse to English fans because we know what our conference is. Yeah. So it probably actually sounds worse than it is. I mean, we could end up playing you because if we don't get, if we only come third in our group, and it depends obviously who we get, we drop down into the Conference League. So we may there could be a Leicester Tottenham final.
So that's what happens from the Europa League. They drop from the third place, drop down.
Yes, I wasn't sure because I know obviously Champions League does.
Yeah.
Just say quick hello to Melina. Melina, how are you doing? And just to sidetrack, she is an Arsenal fan, but her dad is really, really unwell. And that, when things like this happen, football doesn't mean a thing. So from all of us here, and I'm sure Sam as well, Melina, our best wishes and prayers are with your dad.
Best wishes goes out. Yeah.
All the best, Melina. Andrew says, we'll come on to Harry Kane later, need to spend his money. He's not gone yet.
He's not gone yet. He's not gone yet.
A bit like Maddison to Arsenal. It's not happened yet, but we don't, never say anything. Spurs, no question. I refer to stadiums. The KP is no comparison to Tottenham's new home. But we spoke about that again before you joined us, Sam, that you're in London, so you've got a bigger, if you like, catchment area to attract fans from. And, the argument would be with Leicester, well, there's only Leicester as a professional team in Leicestershire. But, you're talking sort of, not overly populated Leicester County compared to the capital city. So it is an amazing stadium. But, I know no doubt you will fill it. But I don't think a stadium or a fan size affects who's a bigger club.
It's a bit of a debate because you could argue that sort of case because I worked up and lived up in the northeast for a few years back late part of 2015-16, and the comparison would be Newcastle and Sunderland. Now Newcastle having their fan base and Sunderland having their fan base, very, very big teams. But if you look at the stadiums and that, you would say obviously Newcastle. So that's why everybody kind of looks at Newcastle as being the biggest team in that area. So you can compare stadiums, you can compare infrastructure because that makes a difference. Man United being in a 30,000-seater stadium wouldn't be the Man United that are in a 75-seater stadium at Old Trafford. So you have to take those things into consideration. However, it shouldn't be that determines whether or not we're bigger than you. I think it goes down to the fan base. It goes down to the appeal worldwide. Are you guys as big as us out in, Asia, in the United States, over in Australia, those sort of places? When you go on pre-season tours, are you going to bring the same number of fans that are going to come and watch your games at Spurs? So all those things would add up. However, again, Leicester having the owners that they do are going to be appealing. But I think the bigger thing is if you're someone who's going to buy the club, I would think that London potentially has a bigger pull than somewhere in the Midlands. I live in the Midlands, so I know what it's like. I live in Nottingham, so I know. Oh
my God, I've suddenly gone off you.
Yeah, so I know what it's like with those Midland derbies, the Derby counties, the Leicester cities, the Nottingham Forest, all big clubs in and around the Midlands area. But because they're in the Midlands, it's not quite the same appeal as London.
Yeah, and you know, when you said about appeal worldwide, and that was something I was talking to Ryan before about. In fairness, we're probably going to catch you up in sort of the Far East because of where our owners are from. And you know, when we won the Premier League and we went out on the tour afterwards, you know, it was, I've never seen scenes like it. It was more people over there coming out to see us on the bus than there was in Leicester. But you know, we were talking before about, you know, success and, you know, when all the trophies come in and it was a while for you. My worry is, though, that when you look at things that were big in the past, it doesn't always mean that they're big now. I mean, let me just show you these here. I mean, Cabbage Patch Dolls, cassettes, Rubik's Cubes, cameras, Woolworths, Box Buster, RMS Titanic and White Star Line, all huge and massive in their day. But the question would be, where are they now? You know,
very true. They're classics, though. Some of them, things like a Rubik's Cube, they're probably worth more money now than they were back then. So I might put that argument too, because we're that classic. Maybe we're worth more money now than we were back then.
I'll give you that one. In fairness, I'll give you that one. But I'm just the other thing I wanted to, because like you say, we're looking at different ways that people will look at what makes you big. So you know, we've looked at the trophies, and if you go on the number of trophies, I'm going to, you know, there's no comparison. If you go on stadium, it's no comparison. You know, although, you know, once we sort of expand, because we're talking about us expanding our the KP, that may well change, but. Just want to bring title wins in because I was quite surprised at this, to be honest with you. The so-called Big Six, and we'll come on to the Big Six in a second. But, you know, you got Chelsea 6, Arsenal 13, United 20, City 7, Liverpool 19, Tottenham 2.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
you've got you know the list of teams there: Everton, Villa, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield have actually won more titles than you. Burnley, Preston, Derby have won as many titles. Now, does that not make, and you could put separate arguments for Newcastle, but does that not make Huddersfield a bigger club or as big a club?
Again, we have to look at the past as the past. You know, if you looking at Huddersfield, I don't know when they won their titles, but again, someone like Preston North End is probably going back 1900s. And they, in them early days, at that point, they were a very, very big team.
Yeah.
Have Preston North End been in the Premiership? No. Huddersfield, again, teams now, I think because of the advent of the Premier League, has meant that focus has now shifted from the old league status. Back in, you know, the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, it was all about Liverpool FC. However, when it went into the Premier League, it was all about Manchester United. Liverpool was still obviously historically massive club because of their Champions League wins, if you want to call it the old European Cup, but they hadn't won a Premier League up until recently. Were they still considered a big club? Of course they were. Liverpool will always be because they're one of the dynasties, you know, one of the teams in England, up with Manchester United, 19, 20 league titles each. You can't discount them as being that. But the ridicule was Liverpool hadn't won a title. They hadn't won a Premier League title. So that, again, blends into what I'm talking about. I've never advocated that Spurs, and you can go onto my show and you can go onto the previous comments and things that I've said, we can't consider ourselves to be in the same league as the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Manchester United, the likes of City, the likes of Chelsea, because we don't have that history in terms of success. However, we've been relatively successful in terms of league finishes in comparison to, say, you know, 20 years ago. So I would say our advent in terms of going forward in terms of progression is definitely more consistent, but it needs trophies. Had we won the Champions League in 2019, had we won the League Cup this season, completely different story. Had we won the Premier League when you guys won it that season, massively different story. So again, I'm reserving. Not all Spurs fans agree with this. I don't consider us to be in that echelon of the big clubs. I would say we're in and around, you know, other teams, you know, like the likes of Everton, potentially, even yourselves. I would categorize ourselves in that sort of category.
Yes, I mean, and what have you got to do to take that next step, if you like?
I think ultimately, and this is going to be from my personal opinion, we have to win something. Now, a lot of people saying, "Oh, if you win a League Cup, that doesn't mean anything." Silverware is silver. It's got to start somewhere. If we win something, that breeds success. That then leads into maybe winning other trophies. If we consider the Premier League, the Champions League, not so much the FA Cup these days, but historically the FA Cup, win one of those as you've done this year, you consider that a major achievement. I know the appeal of the FA Cup has gone as much as it was back in the 80s.
Not for us, it hasn't.
Oh, well, not for you. And like I said, exactly the same for me. Had we won the FA Cup this season, I'd be dancing now. But the fact is, the game's changed because of money. It's now even more important for some of those teams to be in the top four than it is to win an FA Cup and a League Cup. And that's where football's lost for me, because I want to see my team win, pick up trophies. In 20 years' time, I'm not going to be able to sit down here and say, you know how many top fours we got? Oh, that was fantastic. That was brilliant. How many FA Cups did we have? How many league titles did we have? How many League Cups did we have? That's what I'm going to measure my team's success by.
Indeed, like I said, you know, it is down to sort of just how far. But talking about that, your last title win was 60-61. Ours, as we know, was only the one, but it was 2015-16. FA Cup, 1990-91 for you. You like to do things with the one at the end of the year, don't you? Ours was this year, but you have won the League Cup more recently. I mean, it took Liverpool 30 years to start winning again. And exactly. I've been sort of having a bit of banter with a lot of Arsenal fans because they presume that James Maddison will want to come to them because they are Arsenal. And it is this big six mentality of, you know, of some of the fans that, you know, you've got to accept, as Liverpool fans had to. It seems to go in circles. Man United, they haven't won anything for quite a few years. And you have to sometimes accept, like us fans of, you know, mere mortal clubs, if you like, that we can go long terms without winning anything. But, you know, some fans, not including necessarily yourself in this, but some fans of the bigger clubs seem to think that it should just be automatically. Certainly this year, Arsenal think, oh, it's first time in 25 years we've not been in Europe. Well, welcome to our world, you know.
So if you think about that logically, Maddison to go from Leicester City, you've just won the FA Cup, just missed out on top four. That doesn't seem like a progression. That would seem like he would be moving backwards, potentially, because obviously Leicester in Europe this season. Leicester have got a massively great, I think, young team and a manager who's there to, you know, make them better, to improve them. But there might be an appeal to someone like Maddison. Does he want to go to the big lights of London?
Yeah.
Does he want to go and have that history of playing at the Emirates, you know, a big 60,000 seat stadium? Does he want to go and play with the likes of, you know, the players that we might mention, the Aubameyangs, you know, the Smith Rowes, the Sakas, all that? Those are the sort of things that are going to help. But the biggest contributing factor is going to be money. If they're paying him less to go to Arsenal, why would he go? The fact is they're probably going to have to pay him more to come to Arsenal than they're paying him at Leicester. And a lot of players, majority of players, are going to be swayed by cash. That's the real issue here.
It is. And I think we're struggling, to be and I don't necessarily consider that we're one of the big six. And I don't want to talk to you, and I appreciate you got your own show coming up soon, so I won't keep you too long. But, you know, Leicester are struggling to be considered a big six club or being taken seriously as a big six club, despite what we've done over the last 3 years. And we've had 2 seasons of finishing 5th, and yes, we bottled it probably both years. But, you know, I don't think we'll ever be a big six club. I think we can make a big 7 and possibly then be joined by and make a big 8. But we won't, I don't think, you know, a lot of fans of those big six clubs will look at Leicester and say, welcome to the top table.
No, and one of the reasons, and sorry to mention it, but you guys haven't been consistently in the Premier League. And I go back to that point about the Premier League being, this is now where everybody seems to think football started from. They're forgetting about, you know, Division 1 back in the day. Everybody kind of looks at the Premier League as being, that's where football started. We've never been out the Premier League. So for that reason, you know, there's a number of teams that haven't been out of the Premier League. You can consider those to be maybe the big six if you want. I always look at the Big Six as being a changing picture, but you have a number of factors to consider. You do have to consider a little bit of history in it, because if you didn't, Liverpool wouldn't be in the Big Six potentially. Yeah. You wouldn't have Man City and even the likes of Chelsea. Do you know what I'm saying? If you go back prior to the Abramovich era, they were pants. Do you know what I'm saying? So
I can remember meeting Chelsea and there being fighting back in the old second tier years 100%. Ago.
Exact same
Division
for Man City.
2 as was then.
Yeah, the same for Man City as well. That's what I'm saying. So money for those two clubs has changed their recent history. And if that's the way things are going, money is going to be the determining factor which wins most Premier Leagues. If you look at the history of the Premier League, whoever pays the most wages, whoever pays the most transfer fees, usually wins. Now, Leicester and Blackburn, not even an outlier, because Blackburn paid a lot of money to win that league. Leicester, your club, is probably the only team in recent history that's kind of bucked that trend. But is it going to be a trend that's going to continue? I don't think so.
I think the thing with that is, and I agree 100%, you know, we were very quick to shout, you know, we didn't buy the title, if you like. But at the end of the day, you would have fans of the likes of QPR and, you know, Preston and Brentford that would look at Leicester and go, yeah, but you're better off than us. I think what gets the Leicester fans is, and I will use Arsenal and Maddison as the comparison at the moment. Yes, you quite rightly said he may want the bright lights of London. That might attract him. Wage-wise, we can probably match because we've got rich owners now. I still have to pinch myself when we've just bought a player for 30 million. You know, I can remember when we paid $1 million for a player. It was like, my God, you know, and we went bust after that. So, but it's the thing of like it's the attitude that, well, they don't want to be at Leicester. They want to be at Arsenal. Well, you know, they're winning trophies with us. They're getting good money with us. They're in Europe with us, you know, and that's, yes, if he wants the bright lights, but, you know, you can't say, well, just because we're Arsenal. That's what I think, you know, winds a lot of Leicester fans up.
Yeah. And do you know what it is? If you... Again, it's when you mention names. If you go worldwide and you go into, I don't know, bar somewhere in America or whatever it was, and you said Leicester City or you said Arsenal FC, people are more likely to know Arsenal FC. If you ask them about the recent times of about, you know, if non-football fans this is, if you ask them about who's doing better in terms of their recent side of things, then they might not know. But we as football fans know that obviously Leicester have been more successful in recent times. But this is the appeal. This is the sort of thing when you go worldwide and you then have a conversation with just the man on the street, they might not know Leicester City. They're bound to know Manchester United. They're bound to know Liverpool. They're probably bound to know Arsenal as well. And these are the things which probably sells the club a bit more.
I think people know more about Leicester since the 2015-16 win because it was such a shock. I mean, I think had we survived relegation and then had a couple of seasons mid-table and then won it, it wouldn't have been the story it was. But this I mean, the Big Six, and I honestly, I mean, we all have a moan and it all does get a bit sort of pushing banter to the edges when we're talking about losing players, because nobody wants to lose their best players. But somebody said, like, you know, to us, it's like, well, you always sell one marquee player every season. And we go, well, yeah, because one of the big clubs will come along and offer us stupid money. You know, Maguire, 80 million. Yeah, you can have him.
Of course. He'd be so
Chilwell, 50 million. Yeah. And I tell you, if somebody offers us 16 plus million, which they're talking about is worth for Maddison, we'll probably accept it because you know what? I think we paid 20 for him. We'll take that markup.
Of course, but the good thing about Leicester, and this is one of the positives that I would like to Spurs to try and like emulate, is they've got an infrastructure and also a philosophy of what they're doing. So they might sell like Maddisons, they might sell the Maguires, they might sell the Chilwell. But then you're bringing young players in. The scouting system is fantastic. The likes of Tielemans, like the Ndidis, all those sort of players, which, you know, people are thinking, wow, where did Leicester find them from? You know, they've been brought into the team because there's a plan in place. So if you lose Maddison, no doubt there's probably somebody else coming through. They might then be scouting somebody to replace him. They're not going to let him go unless they've got somebody who's potentially going to replace him.
This is it. I mean, we with Mahrez, he went on strike and sat at the airport waiting for somebody to put an offer in so he could get on a plane, and he went AWOL for a few games, but we didn't sell him until we were ready to sell him. And
Correct.
had we not got 80 million for Maguire, we wouldn't have sold him. But we paid £425,000 for Mahrez. We got 60 million back for him. So yes, of course we will sell, because you guys are paying us silly money, and every player. I mean, let's be honest with you. If somebody came in, Real Madrid, I know they can't afford it now, but let's say Real Madrid came in and said, "Here's 120 million for Harry Maguire." Daniel Levy's not going to say no.
You'd be a fool not to.
Well, this is Daniel Levy, though.
Well, yeah, Daniel Levy's he's a notorious hard salesperson anyway. But we were known historically, probably late 90s, early 2000s, as a selling club. We had a lot of players, Teddy Sheringhams, Berbatovs, Bale. You can go through the list. There's an endless list of players that we've got, really talented players that then end up moving somewhere else. That's because they almost see or looked at Spurs as being a stepping stone maybe to higher areas. Because the money in football is so great, particularly in the Premier League, there's not that big difference now. So the likes of yourselves, Leicester, the likes of Aston Villa with Jack Grealish, they can afford to say, well, no, we're not going to sell him because we can keep him. We can keep him at the club. The bigger thing now, which is coming up in football, is the likes of players, once they've signed a contract, and this is Paul Pogba's in this position now for Man United, they're not then re-signing another one unless the terms for them is beneficial. So unless a club's going to say, right, we're going to pay you £300,000, why would you then sign an extension to your contract if you can go on a free in 18 months' time and somebody's going to pay you silly money without having to pay a transfer?
Yeah. And Andrew says here, and we said we'll come on to the Big Six, but very quickly, what credentials do you need to be classed as a Big Six? The funny thing is, this Big Six has only suddenly started being talked about since Sky came in with the Premier League, and it's the 6 clubs that will make them the most money. Before the Premier League, we never had the so-called Big Six. We never had any of this, and I think it's purely a Sky thing that. Because you look and they'll put up on their transfer, catch the latest transfers from all the clubs, and the same 6 will always be listed with links. None of the other 14, just those 6. But I think it is a Sky thing as much as anything. But I just want to talk managers to you, because this surprised me with Tottenham. Made me giggle a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But Brendan Rodgers had the chance to complete a treble at Celtic, but decided to move to Leicester City, where he would see out the 18-19 season and assess his squad with 10 Premier League games to go. Rodgers was our first choice. We went out and got him. Managers, and now this may be wrong because I only just got this obviously off the papers, and so you may correct me on some of these, but there's a list there of 7 players that Spurs wanted before Santos signed. He was actually, if those names are correct, your 8th choice. Now, if a manager doesn't want to come to a club, surely that says something about the club as well.
There's a lot of, again, because I'm not 100% on the inside, a lot of smoke screens in terms. I think Brendan Rodgers was probably someone that we would have really wanted to go for. There's a number of those other names where clubs like Julian Nagelsmann, I don't think there was any chance of him coming to Spurs because he's a German national. He always wanted to go to Bayern Munich, so that was one that was probably a lot of the times as well. Things do get put into the press, attributed to Spurs, so it sells. As you said, you put the headline up: Harry Kane's off, Harry Kane's off, Harry Kane's doing this, Harry Kane's doing that. What's it going to do? People are going to click. Sky have got that. They know that. So that's exactly the reason why they put these things up on their Sky banner, on the yellow ticker that goes across the bottom, so that they get viewers, which translates into money. That's why we have this Big Six, because those 6 clubs you've mentioned with us in it are the ones that sell, which makes people go and pay their £20 odd per month to go and get Sky Sports or whatever it is that we're now paying for it.
Yeah.
Big Six in terms of success is not Spurs. We shouldn't be in there.
No. I mean, that's honest of you to say that. I mean, do you as a Tottenham fan, we certainly as Leicester fans now class you as a rival. Oh, it's Tottenham, they're coming for us and all this sort of thing. Does that work the other way around, or is it like, it's just it's just another Premier League game for you?
No, I think again that's now changed. The Premier League is so competitive, and I've found that over the last 10 years or so, because of money, because of the likes of teams are now better at spending that money and getting players in. Scouting systems are better, and again, I use your club as the prime example. You get the right owners in with the right backing, the right philosophy, the right setup, the right grounding. They will go and able to pick up really good players, and then if they then look after them, if they get the right manager in, right coaches, there's no reason why teams have to then go and sell their best players every single season, as we've talked about, because the money that you get for even dropping out of the Premier League is so great that you're probably likely to bounce back up the next season, as we've seen with the likes of Norwich and teams in the past. So it really is a closed shop. Once you're in the Premier League, if you can stay there for a couple of seasons, even if you fall out, you'll probably come back up in a season or two anyway. That's how much difference the money's made.
Yeah, and you don't have to sell the players because you have got that parachute payment that means you can hold on to those players for a season. Correct. And come back up. But I'll tell you what, Sam, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a bit disjointed because it's hang on. So Dan from Turfmoor TV just popped on. He's still bitter with Spurs for knocking Burnley out of the Champions in the League Cup in 2008.
We won it.
Dan, as the song goes, let it go.
Let it go, Dan. I'm about to let a lot of stuff go. Let it go. Let it go.
Yes. Keep seeing the therapist there, Dan. Brilliant. Mate, thanks so much for coming. A little bit disjointed. We lost one Spurs fan and we lost one Leicester fan. Unlike Leicester, he sort of dropped out quite early on, not in the in the last week, and you were late to the party, and I could say something about that. But you were third in, and it was a 2-horse race. I won't bring that up again, mate. Thanks so much for coming on. I think the only thing we can agree on is that we will never agree on who's a bigger club because it's much too complicated.
Much too complicated for that. But no, it's been a pleasure.
It's been great to have you. I say your YouTube and your Twitter links are in the description on YouTube below. So click on those, but just give them a shout out again, Sam.
Yeah, so Paxton Road TV on YouTube. Look out for us, as I said before, a number of shows coming up. And obviously, if you're a Spurs fan, which I hope, even if you're not a Spurs fan, come across and see us, because when we lose, it all gets a little bit fiery and gets a bit heated. But just a little. But you can find me on Twitter, Sam_Spurs for life, the number 4 in between the life and the Spurs bit. And that's about it, really. I'm just there talking football as we always do. Can't wait for the season to start.
Oh, God, tell me. Yes. We've got the, it's 2 weeks for us because we've got the older Community Shield. Because we won the FA Cup. We won,
I should not come on this stream today, should I?
Hey, we've been waiting like over 150 years for these times. It's been
fantastic. That's really good.
We may be waiting for you, but we've been waiting for success a lot longer. Mate, I know you got a stream coming up, so go and enjoy it. Thanks so much for coming on. And we'll have to get together again when we play in the season.
When we do our games, like I said, when we play, we'll get you onto our preview shows and reaction shows, and that'll be fantastic. We'll be able to talk it, and then whoever loses has got to then do that. Hide their face.
they've got to get a white T-shirt and write "I love the whoever the opposition is" on it. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Stay safe, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on, Sam. All the best.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thank you.
Later.
Bye-bye. Thanks to Sam there. Like I say, great guy. I love these shows. I love speaking to fans of other clubs because it's a laugh. It's banter. It's how football should be. No bullying, no racism, no sexism, nothing. Just good, friendly banter. Until, well, maybe not for the 90 minutes of the game, but of course that's a different matter. Hey, this has been a Leicester War Show. It's been one of these.
Let battle commence.
It's the Leicester War Show
On Leicester Till I Die TV. But who will win? Join in now.
Please do. And it's been a bit of a a mixed show because I say we lost the Leicester fan, my colleague, before we even started, and then we lost the one of the Spurs fans. I think he fell off his horse. Shouldn't mention horses. I think I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it for the Faulty Towers fans amongst us. Hey, look, don't forget, next Tuesday it is the big one, and you've got to come and join me for this transfer show special, Tuesday the 27th, 3:30 p.m. I'm talking with Fabrizio Romano. I've got my list of players that we're interested in signing. I've got my list of players that we're being linked with leaving the club, and we're going to be asking him. And if anybody knows, he knows, you know. He does. He knows. That's Tuesday at 3:30. Nippon. I'm down in Poole in Dorset, so I don't get to many games, and I don't have a season ticket like I used to. I'm hopefully going to be going to the Charity Shield. We shall have to wait and see on that one. But if you invite me to the Chelsea game, if you've got a spare ticket, I've never been to your ground, so if you want to invite me along, I know what you're like. So you can give me a tour of London on the tube and take me to the best restaurants as well. So if you've got a spare ticket, Nippon, keep me in mind. Keep me in mind. And Luca, hello there. We're good. How are you? An Arsenal fan, and he came in to see who won, but it's all over. They think it's all over, and it definitely is now. Guys, we're going to be back Monday at 7. We're going to have the big fat quiz of the week, and it's Doug from Liverpool, or Doug, a Liverpool fan, anyway, from the Dugout channel. Ben comes on at 8:30 on Monday, was the Everton fan, and on Tuesday, it's Fabrizio at 3:30, as I say. So a lot of shows coming up there, and Leicester fans, Burton Albion tomorrow, live on LCFC TV, and we'll be doing a post-match after that, so don't miss that. It's back at last. Stay safe, guys, and catch us on the podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google. Oh, there's just all of them. Get it, Leicester Till I Die podcast. We're on everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow about 5:15 post-match. Take care.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all them social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.